All right, guys, back on Southeastern 16 with Max Barr previewing Tennessee versus Vanderbilt, the rematch in Knoxville on Saturday in SEC basketball. Of course, we know what happened the first time around. Neither team has probably forgotten that one. Back on January 18th, it was Vanderbilt beating Tennessee 76-75 in Nashville. And, that was obviously one of the key signature wins for Vanderbilt this season. The Commodores led by as many as 16 in that game around the midway point of the second half. And so they've certainly proven, Max, that they have at least found a formula that works against the Vols. And again, didn't hold on to the lead, but did found a way to win that game. Meanwhile, if you just kind of look at where the two teams are now, right? Tennessee comes off the loss at Kentucky, an 11-point loss in Lexington after winning 3 straight games before that. And for Vanderbilt, they have also entered a scenario where it's time to win some games because the Commodores 5-6 in the SEC. They've lost 3 of 4 now, and we said it. I mean, they have probably the second toughest schedule remaining of any SEC team, probably behind Alabama. The Commodores got to find some wins, and boy, wouldn't it be nice to maybe try to pull off a sweep here of Tennessee to give them a huge, huge win that would probably put them not all the way safely on the right side of the bubble, but they wouldn't have a lot more work to do to make the tournament if they can somehow win this game.
Yeah, in that first game, now I'm remembering it as I'm looking back. Tennessee won that last 10-minute. I call it fourth quarter, 21-8.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were down double digits, good portion there that second half. Vanderbilt kind of put it on them. That was the Jalen Carey double-double. Vanderbilt actually out-rebounded a Tennessee team that shot 47.6% from three. Tennessee
has out-rebounded Tennessee and Auburn, right? Like, just think about that. Vanderbilt has out-rebounded both of them. That's wild.
And they beat a Tennessee team with who had a 16 assist, 11 turnover ratio. It's not like they just were giving up points left and right. Positive assist to turnover ratio, and they shot 47% from three. Vandy still won. Hey, I mean, I know that the projections on this spread are going to be out there in double digits. I don't see it, though. I really don't. I mean, when you look at what they did the first matchup, I know it's the magic of Memorial. I know it's a tough place to play. But Tennessee, it's not like they went in there and went 2 for 30 from three. They had one of the best shooting nights they've had in conference season at Vandy. They didn't turn the ball over a million times.
No.
Like, how much is going to change? Maybe it's going to change about the Vandy offense. Maybe the Vandy offense isn't going to be getting to 76. Maybe they're not going to be shooting 38% from three and, positive assist to turnover ratio. Those things may change. But it's not like Tennessee's offense is going to see some major turnaround from the first game. They performed pretty well offensively in the first game.
Yeah, and I think that's why it always, to me, goes back to how does the opponent score against Tennessee in Knoxville? Like that's always the case, right? And we said we pointed out kind of the matchup nightmare it seems that Kentucky is for Tennessee this season based on the 2 results in those games. Missouri had a stellar offensive performance against Tennessee, surprisingly so, right? Like we didn't probably expect the team to have that kind of performance. They put up 81 points and still lost because Tennessee had one of their best offensive performances this season, maybe the best in terms of opponent. And so, but you look at those other games, and we keep bringing them up, right? Like Arkansas is a different place, but Tennessee allows only 52 in that one. 56 to Georgia, 56 to Mississippi State, 44 to a Florida team, which we said is one of those kind of wild results that you don't expect. And now you kind of look at this and you're like, okay, what is Vanderbilt's path to scoring consistently here, right? Because, too, it's like we kind of expected Vanderbilt maybe to be a better shooting team than they are statistically. I mean, they're in the 200s and three-point percent. They're only shooting about 33%. But it's just, are you going to get those looks that maybe you got the first time around in some of those scenarios? Because if you do look at the numbers last time, Vanderbilt shot 8 of 21 from 3. That was pretty good. Nickel hit 4 threes. Edwards hit 3. That was a good spot to be in. They got to the free throw line 19 times. And look, I mean, they shot 51% from 2. So a lot of things went right for Vanderbilt in terms of like the offensive game plan in that first game. But you almost have to like now say take that, cut that by about at least 25 to 30%, right? Just knowing that it's just much different on the road. And so then what becomes your approach to where you think you can score consistently offensively against this Tennessee team? But at the same time, you could also say, well, we don't feel like we got to score 80 here because we don't maybe trust where Tennessee's offense is at right now. And maybe that's also part of the story here, Max.
Yeah, I think Vandy is so much different at home from when they play away from that gym. I didn't actually know this until now, Blake, but Vanderbilt has fallen behind Kentucky for the worst defensive efficiency in SEC play. And just about a week or two ago, we were talking about how the gap between 16 and 15 was the same as like this gap between like 7 and 15. That's how far back Kentucky was. So it goes to show how they've improved, but also Vanderbilt now falls himself at 16 there.
And Tennessee only scored 64 points against Kentucky.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look at some of these.
Weird. What a weird statistical thing this is for this game, I think. So
some of these away finishes here for Vandy. Yeah, the 30 points. The 30-point loss to Oklahoma. Now you see what Oklahoma's done since that. It just kind of stands out as like, man, it's been tough on the road for the Commodores.
Yeah, I think that is what stands out to me. It's like just Tennessee was on the road, granted, we said that going to Lexington, but that was kind of the number, right? And it was the 3-point percentage like that. You guarantee if you're Mark Byington right now, right? You're looking at the 3-point and figuring out, okay, Tennessee went 3 of 18 on the road in that game against Kentucky. And that was kind of the story because they got some good looks at the rim and they took advantage of them. I think shot 56% from 2 in that game. And if you look at Tennessee's splits at home from 3 this season, I still look at this 11 to 45 and I'm like, how in the world did that ever happen? But 6 of 22 at home against Florida, 10 of 15 in that game against Missouri. We said that was easily their most efficient performance of the season, and 67% from 3 in that game. 10 of 28 against Mississippi State, 8 of 27 against Georgia, 10 of 26 against Arkansas. So it has been a bit of a mixed bag in that regard. So, but I think if you're Vanderbilt, is there any other game plan that you're going to try to implement other than just saying, hey, beat us from the perimeter? Because, otherwise, right, we talk about the size and all those things, and that's why, spoiler alert, Max, I think if you're saying it's got to be somebody's game here, it's got to be another Jalen Carey game if Vanderbilt's going to have a chance to win. But, I think that's the thing. Like, for Vanderbilt, it's pretty simple. You have to make them beat you from the perimeter. And if they're hitting shots, like, again, we've seen them do at times, especially in that Missouri game. If they're just getting good shots and they're efficient in making them, it will be a game that probably gets out of hand in this spot.
Yeah, I'm trying to find ways to get Vandy to the finish line here, and I'm just struggling. Yeah. I think I'm ready to make some picks here.
Well, I think we know probably who the picks are going to be, but as always, we try to formulate a game plan to see how it's going to work. But it's a much tougher spot for Vandy here.
Just if they had a little bit more, talking about Vanderbilt, a little bit more consistency on the road. Maybe a few of these games they've dropped were just by a few points. They're right there. Can't get it. But man, only 2 true road wins on the season for Vanderbilt. That's at LSU and at Virginia Tech. LSU is 82nd in KenPom. Virginia Tech is 149th. So just very stark contrast home and away splits for Vanderbilt. And I think it catches them here. It's probably why you might see that double-digit spread, even though Vanderbilt already won the first meeting. Going Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee, as we said, has kind of been a good bounce-back team because, they had the loss at Florida, bounced back with a nice road win at Texas. They had the loss at Vanderbilt, bounced back with a nice home win against Mississippi State. Yes, they had the road loss at Auburn and then came back and lost at home to Kentucky, but kind of a different scenario there because after that Kentucky win, after the Kentucky loss, they beat Florida by 20. So I think that's probably what you're banking on here. Coming off the loss, you feel like Rick Barnes will have his team ready. And yeah, I'm going to pick Tennessee too. I just think it is interesting to know, can Vanderbilt find any of those things they did last time and be able to make those work? And can they force some of those Tennessee stretches where they just cannot score? Because if they can, I mean, again, I do think Vanderbilt offensively at least gives you some things that you can be confident about because they don't tend to beat themselves with the turnovers and all that. So maybe they've got a shot just to make some shots here. Again, you need a Tyler Nickel knocking down some threes and Edwards, of course, too. But it's just so hard, like we said, especially when you're playing a Tennessee team that should be a little pissed off here. And, in multiple ways based on losing the last game they played and wanting revenge on what happened the first time around between these two teams. So I will pick Tennessee too in this matchup, Max. And we'll see how it plays out there in Knoxville. But of course, we talk about perhaps expectations moving forward for these two teams. Well, they both want to make it to the NCAA tournament. Tennessee's there. Vanderbilt wants to get there. If you want to take your college hoops experience to the next level in March, well, you can do it with Bracket Bids because, as we keep telling you, Bracket Bids is the place you need to be when you start to fill out a bracket here this March, and you can enter into that free pick'em contest or start an auction draft league with friends, family, or coworkers. Everyone starts with the same bidding dollars. Up to you to outwit and outbid your league mates. Secure the teams you think will go the distance. You can choose from the multiple scoring models, including the upset bonuses to reward those bold picks. Track your teams with live in-game scoring. Watch the standings shift in real time. The further your teams advance, the higher you climb. That's how it works. For league play, use that promo code SC16 for 40% off. SC16, 40% off. Download the Bracket Bids app today or visit them at bracketbids.com. There you go. Our thoughts on Vanderbilt, Tennessee, all other predictions coming here on the channel. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications, and we appreciate you watching. We'll talk to you again soon at Southeastern 16.